It's really hot here this afternoon, so I'll just put this saucer of water out and I'll watch the whole time by Stumpy. Stumpy's a land mullet who lost his or her tail. So all I did on that day, it looked like the wound was, only minutes or hours old. So I threw a couple of fresh snails. And straight away as soon as I threw the first one, there's something just up here in the bush. I can hear it coming down. That's probably the big one. These land mullets are, something big's coming down. Yeah, they're supposedly only able to grow up to 60 centimetres, and I swear I've got one here in the yard that's easily 80 centimetres. Stumpy's big, huge, a lot bigger than the blue tongue, but still nowhere near as big as the big fella that's here. I've got 5 generations living just in this little courtyard pretty much. We haven't had rain for ages. But yeah, aside from putting out those, throwing them, the stumps going back in. But yeah, I don't approach them, and aside from putting that one dish of water out, I don't put out any food at all. And I have tons of different species that visit day and night. So less is definitely more with our wildlife if you don't feed them, and you're putting plenty of ground cover and shrubs and trees, and don't have perfectly manicured lawns. Then year after year you're just going to have more and more species visiting, and it just keeps growing and growing. I've learnt that over being here for like 15 years. And if you think when you're feeding native animals, like if you have 10 or 12 or half a dozen magpies that come around every day, or if you have 20 or 100 lorikeets, if you think it's cool watching their behaviours and that, and their characteristics and personalities in a sense, if you think that's cool, you should see the way, you should see the stuff that you see sorry, when you don't interfere with them at all and you just let them do their thing, and then you see a lot more crazy stuff and really cool stuff, and you're constantly learning, and you're not interfering with their lifestyles or their future in any way, shape or form. It's a positive, just putting a bit of water out, but also not using any chemicals, and rinsing it out multiple times per day. There'll be lizards and possibly snakes and a whole heap of birds and possums and bandicoots and everything popping in for a drink out of that one dish. I'll show you with my hand. Oh, here's another thing too. Sorry. Oh, that's not real good filming. That's the only food that I put out. And all I've done is grabbed a big pot, like the size of this one. And I've just sunken it down at ground level. There's another one over there. So during the winter, the content stays warmer. During summer, the content stays cooler. And I've just thrown veggie scraps and leaves and stuff like that into those pots over the years, and no other food or anything like that. And it all was just broken down, and I actually had that saucer on top of that pot, upside down as a bit of a lid for when it was bucketing down rain and stuff like that. And I did intend to have that as a compost heap and to use that to grow things out of those pots eventually. But one time I ended up flipping that lid and just having a look in there, and there was just no word of a lie, like every single millimetre of the soil or the compost was alive. There was just tens of thousands of bugs and micro, like tiny little insects and stuff, just on the surface. And like in that one pot there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of little life forms, and and they're just constantly, it's just a constant food source, and I haven't put anything in either of those pots for probably 2 or 3 years. I just leave them as is, and they're just a draw cut, like, it's another food source, and it's a natural way of allowing our wildlife to feed. Plus, all these leaves, there's a lot of life and bugs and grubs and insects beneficial under all that. What people would say it's a mess, it's not. It's hiding places for little insects and little lizards and stuff like that. A perfectly manicured lawn might look good to the neighbours, but it's a hazard. Like, it's a no-go zone for little critters. Like, you try and cross a football field without getting spotted and taken out by a cheetah in broad daylight, when it's perfectly mowed grass. As soon as you set foot onto that football field, if that's the region that cheetah's in, you're gone. Your breakfast, your dinner, your lunch. So, when you imagine it from the little critters' point of view, if they look at your lawn and think, I'm going to run the gauntlet from one side of your lawn to the next door neighbour's house, there's no way in hell they're going to run that gauntlet, because they know our skies are full of predators. And that's not, being unrealistic, especially when every single Australian native animal, every single species, collects insects, especially for the young, as a source of protein, even the nectivores. So, yeah, anything where you leave growth, even if you have grass, but let it grow, for 6 inches, 12 inches, and yeah, the neighbours might think you're a bit of a grot and it's a bit messy, but it's going to become a safe haven and food source for countless animals. And by you being a lazy gardener, in a sense, you're actually doing unbelievable, wonderful things for our wildlife. Whereas, perfectly manicured lawns and putting feed out for our wildlife, I know it's easy to think that it has no damaging, repercussions or no negative impacts and stuff like that, but sadly, when they die and when they suffer the bad illnesses, they don't do it at their feeding sites. They do, you won't see them leave the nest one day, but you won't actually know too. If there's 100 lorikeets, you're not going to know there's one missing. And all you're doing is passing down bad habits, because if there's a possum and her Joey, that Joey is in the mother's pouch until it's at the age of where mum lets it have a look out of the pouch. She'll open the pouch and the possum will sit. The Joey will watch every single move, and the Joey's got a front row seat to suss out every single bit of fruit or not fruit, sorry, but every berry, every leaf, every flower. The Joey's constantly knowing that's good for mum, it's good for me. And then the Joey's riding the mum's back, and so that's 24/7 education and training and learning for the future for that for that baby. As soon as we start feeding them fruit or interfering, and we think we're giving them a bit of a helping hand, but literally we're teaching them how to not be able to educate their children, their young ones. Anyway, I raved on. This is a 9-minute video. It was only going to be 30 seconds or 60 seconds, but yeah. Please know, if you don't mess with our wildlife, if you just leave them be and you let them do their own thing, you will get far more visitors. Like, if I wrote a list out of all the visitors I get here in this tiny little courtyard and that other section up there, your jaws would drop. Like, it'd have to be 70 to 80 species easily. And and I do nothing for them. But it's just, like every single day and every night, this place has got action. You won't be able to hear it, but there's another, let's say, landmine over here. even this tree, this is a wattle, but I'm trying to find my finger. I see that branch there that's actually horizontal. The land mullets come out and they actually lay on that and sun themselves. So they're off the ground. There's stump over there. Sorry, back camera work. But yeah, five generations of these land mullets, and this year will be the 6th generation, and they all live here in peace and harmony together. I wish I had a little trail camera set out here because I can't film from the kitchen window because the fly screens are too old. And if I open the screen door, 99.9% of all the birds are going to take off straight away, which is a good thing because they should, fear us. Not in a nasty way, but that's what should happen. But yeah, if I had a little trail camera here, you'd be surprised by the amount of critters that come in, and have a snoop around looking for bugs and insects and scratching around. And yeah, the list just grows, bigger and bigger each and every year. And yeah, it's just, yeah, please know you're not doing a bad thing by leaving them be. You're doing a good thing, and you'll reap the rewards if you're able to be patient. And yeah, there's no doubting that whatsoever. If you build it, they will come.